The Hall of Tyr, Book 4 of the Circle of Ceridwen Saga, written by Octavia Randolph, narrated by Nano Nagle. Copyright 2014, Octavia Randolph. Production copyright 2017, Octavia Randolph. Chapter the First. The Hall of Tyr, Island of Gotland, late summer 881. I opened my eyes and saw that day was upon us. A thin beam of sun streamed through the casement in the stone wall, lighting my red gown where it had dropped on the wooden floor. I lay on my belly next to Sidroc, who still slept. I kissed his ear and whispered, "We need food." He stirred and rolled his shoulders, and then lifted himself on his elbows and looked across the floorboards. He smiled at me and turned his head to the other end of the hall. "We need everything," was what he said. I laughed too, for now in daylight we saw that save the fire pit and us, our new home was utterly empty. There was no table, no bench, not a single rush stand for firelight. We would have to buy or build everything we needed, but I welcomed even that everything in our lives together should be new. It was the second time we had awakened and not arisen, and I felt the blush upon my cheek as he lay back and looked at me. To hide my face, I reached for the pack that held my shift, found it, and pulled it on over my head. "I will bring water from the well," I told him, and began to rise. But he shook his head and reached out and took hold of the hem of my shift and pulled me back down to him. When we finally arose, I took up my red gown and began folding it so I might lay it away. Sidroc came up behind me and wrapped his arm around my neck. "Do not put it too far. I want you to wear it tonight," he whispered. I lowered my chin and kissed his wrist in answer. Now I pulled on my russet gown, glad to think that soon I could wash the dried salt water from all my clothes, and choosing this, as it was much the cleanest. I put the thick necklace of braided silver around my neck, and draped my green wool mantle over my shoulders, for though the sun shone bright, I knew the day might cool quickly. When we had dressed, we stood within the hall in which we had just passed our first night, and looked around us. It had 3 doors, the broad front door of oak, which looked out to the sea, and which sat in a narrow end of the hall. Another at the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?